Welcome to the Start Today podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cavallini. Here we are, ready to deliver another fire Q&A episode. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your attention. And we also appreciate and respect your willingness to do the work and take the productive action necessary to better your life. Before we kick off today's Q&A episode, which of course the questions come straight from you guys, our audience, I want to take a moment and introduce my co-host.
Hello.
Rick Schaff in the building, wearing his shades, looking pretty studly, if I would say so myself.
Yeah, I got a little eye issue, so we're shading up.
Oh man, come on. You didn't have to let him know that. I thought that after we talked about this last night, it was like, man, maybe you should wear the shades all the time. That could be like your gimmick on the show.
It might be a good idea.
You look sharp, man.
Cool.
We just finished filming the new fitness show we're working on for YouTube. That was fun. It was a good workout.
Yeah, this whole fitness series is going to be cool. You guys are going to like it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I know a lot of people have been DMing me, asking me when it's going to be released. We've recorded 3 episodes, but the editing process, especially for something new, we want to make sure we get the format down right. Just make the necessary adjustments, deliver the most quality content available. But I'm excited about it. I feel great. Anytime you get a workout in like that,
I know.
It's kind of hard not to feel awesome after the fact. But today's episode, guys, is brought to you by you, from us.
That's right.
Okay, just like all the Q&A episodes that we've had to this point, which we really enjoy, we've reached out to you guys and asked you guys to just send us your questions. And what we have found is this format works out really well because a lot of people that are asking the questions, what we see is, we always get several people that ask kind of like the same question in like a different way. So that really shows us that, our audience is just like-minded. And, the answers, the questions and the answers are topics and things that a lot of people can benefit from. And we just appreciate that, appreciate the opportunity to give you a little insight based off of our experience and, the things that have worked for us to this point of our lives. Between Rick and I, we have a lot of life experience and, we're in the game to help people do better, to see you do better, and to, share with you guys, for me personally, my seemingly never ending long list of fuck ups to hopefully help you avoid or at least mitigate running into some of those situations yourself. So
well said.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into it, man. The cool thing about this episode is we have some listeners that have sent in video questions, which is a new format that we're playing with. And so some of the questions that we have today will be videos that were sent in from the audience.
We like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Our first question will come from a gentleman named Miguel, and we'll watch that video now.
How's it going, Chris? Miguel here out of San Diego, California. Just want to submit my question. What gives you that drive? I know you got a lot of drive, a lot of consistency. I feel like that's what I need a lot of times. Is it a memory of hurt? Is it a memory of greatness? Is it an accumulation? Is it appreciation and gratitude? Or do you kind of just blend it up? Or is it one specific thing? I know you got a lot of drive, a lot of consistency, and I really respect that. I just hope you know you're inspiring a lot of people. You've inspired me. And keep doing your thing, man. You got my support, and you got my, I'm a fan. So thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you for the kind words, the support, and the question, Miguel. It's a great question. I love this question. And I want to answer it directly and also give a little just kind of insight. This is something that I hear often. This is something a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people can't seem to figure out like what is missing, why they don't have drive, why they're, not just super energized and just passionate and motivated to go just kick life's ass every day. For me, the reason that, I stay consistent with the work of my life, right, across the board, is because I want to feel good. I want to feel good. And those, feeling good is, it's not something that we're necessarily entitled to. It's something that's earned, not given. So I feel good when I stay consistent. The only way that we're going to improve on anything, the only way to make progress with anything is to be consistent. I have some very clear, specific goals in place that I've set, non-negotiable. I mean, these are my goals. These are, not just something I'm going to try to do. These are things that I am going to do, that I am in the process of doing. Again, and in order to achieve those goals and make them happen, I absolutely need to be driven. I absolutely need to be consistent, and I need to do all the things that are required in order to make them happen, because they're certainly not going to make themselves happen.
The goals are what give you a purpose.
Exactly.
So that's why we always talk about the importance of writing your goals down and having them so that they give you the purpose and the drive to go forward.
And that's it. I mean, that is really it. Like, purpose. That's it. That's the thing that most people are missing. Most people go throughout their life, just without purpose, and they kind of just drift from thing to thing. They stay stagnant. They don't really improve, but they're not improving due to trying really, really hard at something and just failing. They're not taking deliberate action with a specific intent to improve.
Yeah. So
you got to have purpose. Like, what is it that, what are you going to be driven toward? What is it that we're talking about as far as being consistent with? Like, we can say general things like, we'd all like to have a lot of money. We'd all like to be, super healthy and look the way we want to look. But, just kind of wanting to have that happen and kind of want that to be, a goal is a completely different scenario than when you actually set a specific goal with a quantifiable like number or target attached with the deadline that accompanies it. Like, you got to get clear about what you want. Like, what is it that you want to do? Like, who the fuck do you want to be, and how do you want your life to look like ultimately? You have to answer those questions. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, man, they don't want to ask themselves those questions. They don't want to just confront them. I mean, that's a very difficult thing to do, because, a lot of people have a hard time, I think, articulating, what it is they want to do, because, perhaps it's so far off from where they are currently that their brain it's unable to make that connection. Just perhaps it seems unreasonable, but it should seem unreasonable. Your goals should be unreasonable. The things that you set out to do, I mean, they should be aggressive. They should be just beyond reach. They should be things that, when you say to other people, that they doubt you initially, right? That's what, I mean, if you don't have exciting, just big, fat, juicy goals to sink your fucking teeth into, and you get these little bullshit, impotent goals that really don't fucking matter, you can't really...
It's not going to have much of a purpose.
Yeah, well...
What's going to drive you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the way that I stay consistent and the way that I stay driven is I have goals. I have very specific goals, and I have just a way that I want my life to be and I want my life to look like. And there's certain things that I want to do for the people in my life. And in order to achieve and manifest those outcomes, like, I have to do the work consistently to make it happen. And again, a lot of it comes down to me wanting to set my life and live my life in a way where I feel good and I feel proud and I feel just like I'm moving the needle. I want to feel confident. And the only way that you're going to feel those feelings of confidence and those feelings of accomplishment and just the overall, just general satisfaction that, people achieve in life, the literal only way is through consistency.
Agreed.
So do you have anything to add to that?
No, man, just you put a plan down and you put the time in and you reach those goals. And like you said, if you got to be consistent about it, just like everything else in life, if you want it, that's what you do.
Yeah. And Miguel, I don't know how long you've been listening to the podcast, but we actually did an episode around December or January of last year where we specifically talked about goal setting, the art of goal setting, if you will. If that's something you need a little help with, go back and listen to that episode. Read the 10X Rule, read Goals by Brian Tracy. Two of the best books that have ever been written, in my opinion, about goal setting, the goal setting process, and how to properly set goals. Because, just speaking a goal or having something in mind is very different than, goal setting. It's an art form. I mean, that's why we named the episode that we did on goal setting, The Art of Goal Setting. Yeah. It's an art form, and how you do it absolutely matters. So if you or anyone else listening, that's something you would like to improve on, listen to the episode on goal setting, check out Goals by Brian Tracy and the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And consume the content, read the information, listen to it, whatever, and then get to work.
Yeah, and the real trick is going to be determining what it is that's going to make you happy. Like Chris said, he has a certain life that he wants, and he's worked hard to make those goals a reality, And someone else's might be different, but, just really look inside yourself and figure out what it is that makes you happy and gives you the life that you want. And then, like I said, write those goals down, put a plan in action, and make it happen.
Execute the plan.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay, so this next question is from Anonymous. It says, Chris, I was very curious about your thoughts on the election, and moreover, what you think will happen in the aftermath. I've never been more concerned for us as a country, and I would like to know what you think and your preparations you're making for any potential worst-case scenarios. Thank you, Anonymous.
We had about 25 people ask some version of this question. Yeah.
Well, it is on everyone's mind.
Yeah, obviously that's a topic that's hot right now in pop culture. And I just want to go on record and say, I'll answer. He asked several questions within the question, who do I think will win the election? It doesn't matter. What do I think is going to happen after the election? It doesn't matter. And what preparations am I making for any possible worst case scenario? Well, the preparations that I've been making, I've been making them for a long time, not for this worst case scenario, but just, you take responsibility over your life. You realize that your life is your responsibility. And regardless of any sort of external variable, set of circumstances, or series of events, like I have responsibility to win. And there's no caveat to that. There's no asterisk attached to that. That is what needs to happen regardless of how simple or difficult the circumstances that are surrounding me or surrounding us here in the United States. It doesn't matter who wins the election. It doesn't matter what happens after the fact, okay? All that we need to worry about and think about and focus on are the specific outcomes that we are 100% in control of. Okay, what are some of those things? What are some things that we are 100% in control of at all times? Our attitude.
Yeah, our thoughts.
Right?
Yeah.
How hard we work, the food that we put in our body, right? The exercise that we do or don't do, the people we surround ourselves with, the level of gratitude that we give for the positive circumstances in our life that a lot of us are probably taking for granted, right? We can focus on things that will not only help us feel good and stay in a very healthy, positive state of mind, but will also help us improve and essentially move the needle in our lives, like regardless of the current state of the economy, the current state of, the right versus left and Trump or Biden, like all of these things are completely irrelevant when your focus is aligned in outlets that serve you in a productive capacity. Now, I do realize that the overwhelming majority of the population doesn't get that. They focus on things that make them feel like shit. They focus on things that, instill fear, instill division, instill hatred, instill just a lack of just feeling safe and in control.
Yeah.
But we got to wake up. We got to wake up and realize that the reason that you're fucking feeling like that is because of the content you're consuming, because of the news that you're spending so much time watching and reading, the motherfuckers on social media that you're following and engaging in their, bullshit posts, fighting in the fucking comments, like a bunch of fucking morons. Like, people who do that are just fucking so stupid to me. It's like, what do you do in your life? Like, how do you have the time and energy to do that? I can never answer that question. I cannot relate to those people. I don't understand how people could be so just seemingly prideful and like to just not even give a fuck and go on a public platform where so many people from wherever can kind of just see like who they are.
Right.
It's sad because when you have taken the level of action and certain things to kind of educate yourself and have a objective understanding of like how some of these things actually work and why some of these things are happening, it's very easy to see people who clearly are not educated and are operating from a place of ignorance. And, what you'll see is these, blind just demonstrations of just rage and, raw quote unquote passion are really things that people do to create or offset a knowledge deficit. People get pissed off and angry when they don't really know the facts.
Sure.
We talked about Dan Crenshaw last night. We were discussing him, and this is a guy who, like, you watch any of the debates that he's ever had or any of the discussions that have gotten heated, like he's never lost his cool, never lost his composure.
That's his big thing. He doesn't get offended. Like, he takes pride in it.
And they try to bait him.
Yeah, he says, I try not to offend, but more importantly, I try not to be offended. And that's like a massive skill if you can master it. It's very hard to do.
It's very hard to do, but the reason he's able to do it so well is because he is so educated. He is so intelligent, and he knows. He goes into every discussion, every debate, every situation prepared.
Yeah.
And when you're prepared and like objectively the things that you're stating to be factual, it's very easy to keep your composure. And when you're able to keep your composure in a situation like that, when somebody else isn't, that typically makes them even, that much more not composed. So that's probably not the answer that you thought I was going to give, but it doesn't matter who wins the election. It doesn't matter what happens after the fact. Okay. It doesn't matter what happens. What matters is how we respond. What matters is what we do. What matters is how we as individuals, decide to move forward. It does not matter what your neighbors do. It doesn't matter what the people that you work with say, some of your idiot friends that you grew up with that, for some reason are still kind of like around you and you're interacting with, even though they're in the same fucking place they were when you guys were 17, 18 years old. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. What matters is what you do. You are in control at all times, during the good times and during the bad times. Yeah. The level of personal responsibility that we need to be taking in our lives, it should not be influenced whether the times are good or bad. It needs to be the same. It needs to be at optimal levels at all times. So again, whatever happens, regardless of, obviously there's some discussions about potential things that we could see in the aftermath of the election, depending on who gets elected and such. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, unfortunately, as individuals, we do not have the ability to prevent, stop, or even marginally deter any of these things from happening. But what we do have the ability to do is control ourselves and handle ourselves with dignity, class, respect, and through our actions, lead by example the people around us into a better way of doing things, which hopefully they then follow your example and do the same for the people around them and then around them. And then you have a situation there where, the way you handled yourself has now actually made a significant impact on hundreds, if not thousands of people, depending on your circumstances. So again, I always say this, the way that we change the world is literally one person at a time. So how you handle yourself, how you react, where your focus goes, where your attention goes, now, forever, but especially after this election, it's going to determine a lot. So invest your focus and choose the things that you're spending your energy on very, very wisely.
Okay, moving on. Got our next video question coming from Khalib.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Big fan of the podcast here. Just wanted to ask about how you deal with when you are someone that claims responsibility for everything, how you deal with people in a public setting such as work environments or things like that use your responsibility of things as a cop-out for their own faults, if that makes any sense. Like, as someone who takes responsibility for everything, how you deal with someone who allows your responsibility for everything be a cop-out for what they do. Thanks for everything, man. Big fan. Appreciate anything I get. Thank you.
I like it. I like this question. I think, as it relates to personal responsibility, I think what we need to really remember is the key word in that statement, which is personal. Personal responsibility means you take responsibility over the actions and results of your life. It doesn't really matter what other people are doing. I mean, it would be amazing if everybody just one day woke up and actually accepted responsibility for their lives.
That would be awesome.
The world would look totally different. My answer to the question that we just answered would be completely different. But the fact is, no matter how hard we try, and no matter how much somebody actually needs to change and how much it would benefit that person to, not make excuses, point the finger, blame other people or other things, and actually accept personal responsibility, the only people that we can control with, 100% certainty is ourselves. So when you accept responsibility for your life and for the circumstances surrounding it, you focus on you. It's about you. It's not about the other person. The best thing that you can do is to stay consistent with your mentality of accepting personal responsibility, and hopefully it absolutely will rub off on people around you. It might not rub off on everybody, but the fact is, it doesn't matter what other people should not influence the values that you hold for yourself and the standards that you maintain for yourself. It sounds like he's having a little bit of a issue with somebody in the workplace who perhaps hasn't woken up to the value and the magic, shall we call it, of accepting responsibility. And I understand the frustration, because when you are somebody who takes responsibility and accepts responsibility initially and starts to really benefit and experience all the positive consequences that materialize once you do that, it also does something else. It also you look at other people who don't take responsibility, and it's, it's not a great feeling. You look at them a little differently. That's just a fact. Sure. So we have to just do our best in that situation to just realize that, the only people that we can control is us. And, if you're looking to really help that person, you got to have a conversation with them. If they're blaming, if they're using the fact that you take responsibility as a crutch for a lack of results, well, whatever situation or, wherever you guys fell short as a team, as an individual, make sure when, you go to rectify it, that person is part of the solution. So you're getting them involved, you're showing them and teaching them a better way of doing things, and you're including them in the process. Because a lot of times, people simply don't know how to take responsibility. They don't know what that means. They don't really understand it. It's our natural instinct when we do something wrong and fuck something up to not take responsibility.
Right. They probably grew up in a house watching their parents blame everybody else. So it's just not in them. And when you bring it to their attention, it'll probably be the hardest thing. They probably won't accept it right away. But if you keep, bring it to their attention, people think about stuff. And I think after a while, they start to realize that, especially if you're providing a great example, they start to see the truth and understand that, or at least you hope so, right?
Well, what you don't want to do is, you don't want to like just walk up one day and just slap down a copy of Extreme Ownership on their desk and say, hey, read that. You need it, and then walk away, right? You don't want to go and preach to them and talk down to them. Again, you want to basically just include them in whatever situation that you're rectifying, so then they now have the ability to, in the future, prevent, deter, or solve whatever situation, happened that, ultimately you had to take responsibility for. But you just do your best. You continue to do your best. You take responsibility regardless of who does not around you, because as it relates to personal responsibility, it's about our lives. Our lives are our responsibility. We can only control what we do. Hopefully we can influence and inspire the people around us through our consistent actions to make some improvements as well. But ultimately, like, we got to keep doing what we're doing because we know it's the right thing to do. You win some, you lose some, but at the end of the day, you focus on you focus on like what you can do to improve. And, the fact is, I would look at this as an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to coach somebody, an opportunity to help someone level up. How did you first learn about the importance of personal responsibility? Because I guarantee you didn't come out of your mom's vagina just accepting responsibility, for your life out of the womb. How did you learn about it? How old were you? Like, is this person younger than you? Just recognize they probably came up different. They probably have a different background. They've been exposed to just different information. So have a little empathy in that regard. But
I was going to say, and most people just don't accept responsibility.
But I think it's just a lack of awareness. I don't think people are aware they're not accepting responsibility.
Exactly.
Right?
No, it's just like, it's not my fault.
Most people aren't aware that they're not aware.
Yeah, I agree.
So just do what you can. Like, don't take it personally. That's the worst thing that you do, because that shit will drain you. That shit will drain you when you're constantly just casting judgment on people because they don't do things the way that you do, even when those things are things that, if they did actually do, would improve on their life just remarkably. So you have empathy, you continue to take responsibility, and you continue to reap all the amazing benefits that I know that you have to this point in your life, because it's the right thing to do. It's how you live your life with honor and integrity, and living your life where, in a way where you've accepted complete responsibility for everything that happens to you and everything that happens for you. Literally, it's a fail-safe way to continue to climb the ladder, to evolve and grow as a person, personally, professionally, spiritually, mentally. So hopefully that helps, but don't let other people's lack of personal responsibility ever deter you from taking personal responsibility for your own life. That is not a winning formula, my friends.
Okay. Moving on. Next, we have a question from Shane, who also sent in a video.
Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? Appreciate all the work you do. My question is how do you feel about college, and do you feel like it is a necessary requirement in order to achieve success? For example, like in business, do you feel like college is something that is an absolute necessity? Because I'm in college right now, and when I'm working on my personal training business or on like my real estate work, it brings me a lot of happiness and joy. But whenever I sit down to do my physical schoolwork, it's not making me money, or I feel like it has nothing to do with my future success, and I feel like I'm getting depressed whenever I do my schoolwork, but feel fulfilled whenever I do my actual work.
So this is a question that I've been asked a million times over the course of time, and the answer is no. You absolutely do not need college to be successful. You just don't. Okay, there's literally maybe one or two exceptions to that rule, and that's if you want to go to school to be a medical doctor or an attorney, in which case, yes, you have to go through the schooling process in order to obtain the credentials to practice medicine and practice law. But times have changed. The world has changed. The amount of information that we have available to us at any given time, literally at our fingertips, available in, as fast as you can type. Yeah. It's extraordinary. And I don't think people really...
We've never had a time like this.
Never.
And I agree with you. Like, I've listened to Gary Vee talk about this, and I'm with him 100%. Everything is there. Everything is free if you want to put the time in as well. Sure, school can do certain things for you, and there's other benefits to school, but you have to really look at the cost these days because it's been inflated beyond understanding. Back in the day, it was reasonable. Now it's not reasonable what they're charging.
Well,
when you're paying
university-
$500 for a book, it's absurd.
Well, people have to remember, university, colleges, these academic institutions, they're businesses.
Yeah.
People don't think of it like that.
I mean, they become rackets, really, which I hate to say it, but it's
Yeah.
true. They
So,
are.
with that said, okay, do I think you should drop out of school and pursue what you said is making you, happy and motivating you, making you feel inspired? Maybe, maybe, but I would need a little more information to intelligently do that. Like, a lot of young people are in school because it was their parents' will, right? Their parents are paying for college. It is something that, their parents, because of the way and the time and the era their parents grew up, felt that that's what their kid essentially needs in order to be successful. Again, times have changed. So if, you're basically living off of your parents now and they're sending you to school, okay, that's a little bit different of a scenario. If that is the case and you have to rely on their financial support for the time being, stick it out, man. Like, do your best in school. Like, if you're working on your business on the side, my recommendation is to just put as much energy that is required into your schoolwork to where you're just always passing your tests, always passing your classes, and are just knocking out, the different things that need to be knocked out and racking up your credits to get you close to the finish line and get that degree. If you're someone who, if for some reason, like, you sent yourself to school and took out a bunch of student loans and or you absolutely don't have to rely on your parents' financial support to live, then you have to listen to your heart and go with your intuition. I'm very proud of this person. It's like he knows. He fucking knows, man. Like, you intuitively know, but he's been told all his life by his parents or people older than him that this is what he needs to do. And even though he's been told it so many times, something just feels off, and it's just gnawing away inside. But you got to go by how you feel. Like, what the fuck makes you happy? Like you've said, working on your business makes you happy, makes you feel productive, makes you accomplish, and this is what you want to do. Understand that you can fucking do it. You can, all the education that you need, all the knowledge, all of the experience to dominate in the personal training space, the fitness, health, and wellness space. I don't really even know that you can necessarily learn the majority of it in a university, but beyond that, the research that is available online, literally you can become an expert in everything related to fitness, to exercise, to nutrition, to, everything, all things health. With the exception, of course, of being able to prescribe medicine, which is what medical physicians do. You can literally become an expert. Now, granted, you might not have a fancy diploma that put you or your family in just multiple generations of debt to obtain, but you'll have the actual knowledge and insights that will be needed for you to help your clients to build a business and for you to continue to develop and grow and impact people in a favorable way. So it's one of those things, like, what are your circumstances surrounding it?
Yeah. Like, what is that degree really going to do for you? I went to film school, and back in the day, maybe it was a good thing or not, but I would never go to film school now. I would just make a movie.
Yeah.
Why would you? Because everything's changed. The technology's changed. Like, you can just make anything, and that's what all people want to see anyhow.
The thing with university and college, right? Like, it's structured, right? So you sign up for these classes and they give you a schedule, and Mondays at this time, you go to this room and you learn this thing. Then you go to this room and you learn this thing. You go to that room and you learn that thing. So self-education, on the other hand, it's not handed to you like that. Self-education, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
You got to go get it. You have to be disciplined enough to structure your day and to schedule your day to study, to research, to learn everything and anything you can to improve your knowledge, your skill set, and to get better at whatever trade that you're looking to improve on. And it's a different dynamic because from, pre-K, kindergarten, pre-K, preschool, all these things, the dynamic was you go to this place, this academic institution, and you go through this schedule, this day that they set for you, and you learn this information that they tell you that you need to know. And that's basically programmed in you from a very, very young age to the point where people think that's the only way to actually obtain an education.
Right.
In fact, not only is that not true, the things that you're learning, like when you get to a point when you're done with school, like a lot of the work that you're going to need to do is unlearning a lot of the shit that you've learned throughout school. That's just real. Like school is not set up to help you become just a badass motherfucker who kicks ass in life and makes a ton of fucking money and lives life on their terms.
Yep.
Okay. It's not set up like that. It's set up to continue producing and generating just average motherfuckers into society. It's set up to keep putting more cogs on the fucking machine, more people who, stay glued to the fucking TV sets and the news and think that like their lives are going to be massively impacted or changed depending on who wins the fucking election, depending on which old ass motherfucker, senior citizen, wins this election.
Yeah.
Mind you, in a decade, the reality of it is like both of them probably won't even be around anymore. But we're so fucking fixated on these two men. And like no knock to either of them. This is not what this is about. This is about us having to take responsibility and understand that things are going to be the way they are. And you have the ability to respond as you see fit. And you can do one or two things. You could step up and push forward, like even when things are hard, or you can be a bitch. And literally, that's the two options that you have. And, ultimately, nobody can make that decision for you but you.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
I might have got a little off track there. What was the initial question?
It was
about college?
It's about college, yeah.
Well, hopefully what I said there tied into the response. But like, I wish I knew more. I wish I could ask us like a follow-up question, because you do see that a lot where people's parents send them to college and, they're paying their bills.
It's just
they're supporting
ingrained
them.
in most people anyhow because of that. Yeah.
So like, is it a bad thing to go to college? Not necessarily. It all depends on what your expectations are. Like if you think that diploma, again, unless you're going into a profession like we spoke about, that absolutely requires that to perform at, that level as a prerequisite. If you think that diploma or degree or whatever they call it, like if you think that's going to qualify you, day one out of college into a position where you're making anything other than above average income, like think again. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, I have, there's college graduates that have come into our company before and have literally at like the entry level positions. One person had a master's degree.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is. I remember
But it's
back
true.
in the day.
It happens all the time now.
I remember back in the day. I'm so glad that this is a much better example. When I worked in the strip club after I got out of the military, I remember incalculable amount of the strippers, the girls that worked there, that had college degrees.
Really?
And because they weren't able to get work or get a job that would pay them enough to survive, they were stripping. I remember one, I will never, I don't remember her name, but I can remember her face like it was yesterday, because I thought it was so fascinating. I was like, holy shit. She was a little older and she had 2 master's degrees, bro.
Wow.
2 master's degrees. So however much time that she invested in going to school, and then, however much money and debt she buried herself in. But because she wasn't able to get a job that paid her like a respectable wage, I mean, she found herself just in that life and continued to work there and did basically nothing with her double masters. So it's just one of those things.
Says it all, right?
Yeah. Either way, if you're in school, like Please don't let this discourage you. I've said in the past, if you're in school, I think you need to do your best. I think, it's a good opportunity to kind of cultivate just the mindset and the mentality that's essentially needed to kick ass and excel in the real world. So, you do your best. You make it a point to crush every test, every exam, every final, to participate as much as you can in class, to work on your communication skills, and to have a good fucking time. I mean, at that point in your life, like, you should be having fucking fun, cutting loose, doing some stupid shit. Try to do it as responsibly as possible. But, some of the best memories I have, I didn't go to college, but some of the best memories that I have were, from my early 20s. And I just had some amazing times, did some really stupid shit, but I had a good time, man. Looking back on it, I mean, I wouldn't trade those memories for anything.
Oh, that's the time you have fun. You don't have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, later in life,
enjoy
shit
it.
Later in life, when your degree of responsibility is more profound, you don't have the time or the energy for that stuff. And it's good to get it out of your system now and do your thing, and just realize that you have your entire life ahead of you to figure out what it is that you want to do. But for the gentleman that asked this question, man, hopefully that answer gives you some insight. But regardless if it's college or anything else, always do what makes you happy. Always gravitate to what makes you feel alive, and do more of what makes you feel good.
Yeah, and that's typically like a trait of most millionaires. They're happy doing whatever they're doing. There are probably no millionaires that are miserable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I know some that are a lot that are miserable, but more often than not,
that's the trait, though. I mean,
yeah, it's
they enjoy what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're really good at what you do, it's because you enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's because you enjoy it. You're passionate about it, and when you're able to be passionate about something, not only you're able to get like good results, you're able to make a lot of fucking money.
Okay, moving on.
Yep.
What's up, Chris and Rick? So I was wondering, I hurt my shoulder a couple of years ago, and it still nags me to the point I have been very inconsistent with my workouts since it happened. I can't do a lot of the things I used to do, and wanted to know what you suggest. Thank you for everything. I'm a huge fan of the podcast and what it stands for. Trevor from Denver, Colorado.
You want to?
I have hurt my shoulder before, and luckily at the time I was working with a guy named Joe Weider, and I had access to his physical therapist. They called him Dr. Magic Fingers, and thank God I did, because it was very painful. I had a rotator cuff issue, and it was unbelievable what this guy could do in one session to give me 40% of my power back that I had lost. And then I continued to see him, and that's how you recover. You find somebody who's going to help you understand what the issue is and how to resolve it. By just not doing anything and thinking it's going to go away is not the best strategy way to approach. Yeah.
I mean, that's good advice in any area of life.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
If something isn't going the way you want it to, doing nothing is not going to change the current reality.
So you got to find somebody.
Yeah. So with that said, for the Gen Pop like myself and the individual who asked this question, who doesn't have Dr. Magic's fingers in their contact list, what can you do? There's a lot of things that you can do. And I want to get to that in just a second specifically, but you do what you can.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a shoulder that's nagging you a little bit. Okay. Like, you still have like your whole lower body. From what I understand, your other shoulder is good. Like, you have all of your limbs. That's awesome. I mean, there's people like out there. I mean, you see these like quadriplegics and paraplegic and people in wheelchairs doing these marathons and like rock climbing, doing all this fucking nutty shit. And they're getting after it. Like, you do what you can. Now, in his question, he referenced that he's not able to do a lot of the things that he used to do. And that's the key right there is people just hate change, don't they? Mm-hmm. It's so hard for people to accept change. And the fact is, change is the most, like the healthiest, most productive thing that we can do for ourselves in every area of our life. This is an opportunity for him to really spread his metaphorical wings and delve into other areas and disciplines of fitness.
Yeah.
So you do what you can, which honestly, once you kind of go into it with that mindset and that perspective, you quickly realize it's a lot more than you initially assumed.
Yeah, sure.
Again, like I don't know the extent of this shoulder injury, but I do know that, I know a lot of people who've had, rotator cuff surgeries and, issues with their shoulders, people that I've trained with. And like, yeah, sometimes they have to modify certain things, but all of them are getting after it. They're going fucking hard. You do what you can. And the things that you can do, you do it harder, you do it better, and you do it more consistently than you ever did before. And what happens in that scenario is not only do you get back on track, you get to a level that you've never been at before.
Yeah.
Okay, you overcompensate the things that you can't do by taking a level of action where you're controlling the narrative and controlling the variables that really matter, which is the level of effort, intensity, and the frequency of consistency that you're putting in to your workouts. So again, depending on, look, let's just say this motherfucker's shoulder is just so fucking fucked up, which it's not, right? Because it's been 2 years. But let's just say the worst case scenario that your shoulder is so bad that you physically cannot use your right arm. You have a right arm, but because your shoulder is so bad, it cannot support any amount of weight, which is basically impossible, by the way.
Yeah.
If it's an old like injury, but let's just say that you have one limb. Let's just say you only have one arm. Okay, let's just go. That'll make it easier.
Let's do that.
Okay, what can you do? What would you do?
All kinds of stuff.
So much shit. You can run, right? You can do all kinds of lower body exercises. You can do stretching. You can do mobility work. You can do yoga.
And like we said, there's never been a time in history where so much information is free to us. All you got to do is start Googling, searching, and finding out. Listen to people who know more than you, and make a plan.
Yeah, it's really like. The thing is, these answers start coming to us when we realign our focus in a more productive manner. Yeah. Your focus right now, my friend, is on the fact that, your shoulder's a little jacked up and it's preventing you from doing the things that you used to do. Yeah. Well, let's forget about those things. Okay. Instead of focusing on what we can't do, let's open up our minds to new possibilities and seek out the things that we can. And let's get creative with it. Let's look into things that we haven't done before. Okay. Let's get outside of our little comfort zone. Let's think out of the box and let's figure out what we can do to where we can enjoy the process, we can have fun, and we can get the most out of it. Now, with that said, back to what you said initially, which was amazing. And that was kind of the second thing I was going to delve into. No matter what injury that you have or what injury you have sustained, no matter what, lingering pain you have from something that happened however many years ago, there is always something that you can do about it in the present. People seem to think that if they had an accident or something that happened or an injury from a long time ago that still, bugs them from time to time, they seem to think that that's just how it's always going to be. Now, it will always be like that if you don't do anything about it. Yeah. But if you take specific actions and focus on certain movements, exercises, stretches, and just different, mobility work to strengthen, in this case, your shoulder, you're going to see that you're going to make progress. You're going to improve on mobility. You're going to improve on the functionality. You'll improve on the strength of.
Just to add, I think it took me about a year to get over that injury, and I had to adjust to everything differently, and but it just takes a while. But and the thing is, if you go to somebody and they say, "Oh, I can't help you," find someone else. There's people out there that are so smart and they think outside the box and they have a different approach. So just keep looking. You'll find the right person.
Yeah, and start on the internet, right? Before you go and looking for the best doctors and experts on the shoulder, rotator cuff, your knee, and all these things. Look on the internet. There was an interview that I watched probably about 6 months ago. It was a doctor who basically specialized in rotator cuffs. And basically what he started to do was treat people, instead of treating them with surgeries, he would treat them on a pull-up bar. He would basically have them hang on a pull-up bar for however, I mean, obviously it was progressive. It would start off and it would help them build up strength and just expand the muscle tissue and just build up the mobility. And this individual has effectively treated countless people with rotator cuff injuries that went to a surgeon who told them they needed a surgery.
Yeah.
And then they went to this guy for a second opinion, and he basically said, no, we can treat this without surgery.
Oh yeah.
And he's effectively done that. So it's just to Rick's point, like there's all kinds of shit out there that you're not even aware of. So you have to make an intention and have a specific intention.
Yeah, I mean, like to his point, if I went to see a surgeon about my shoulder, I probably would have had surgery, right? But I didn't.
Yeah.
And because of that.
Yeah.
I got
It,
fixed.
like, you know, sometimes people are going to need surgery. Like
sure.
sometimes that's going to happen. You know, 2 years after the fact, if you're still having certain issues, and this is not just with your shoulder, this is anybody. Like if you have issues with your lower back, you have issues with your knee, like whatever, like not only do what you can to work around it, focus on the things that you can do as opposed to the things that you can't. Also carve out time and have it be a focal point where you're putting X amount of time every single week into the rehabilitation, recovery, and into strengthening that area. So it's not a problem. I mean, like dealing with nagging injuries sucks. Nobody wants to deal with that, but you can't use it as an excuse to not do anything.
No.
And beyond that, if you're not doing anything to fix it and just kind of living thinking, oh, well, it's always going to be like that. Like, no, that's a mentality problem. Like it's a lack of awareness. And I'm telling you that no matter how complicated you think your injury is or how unique you think your set of circumstances is, the world is an amazing place filled with just extraordinary, talented, brilliant individuals that have most likely already solved whatever problem that you believe that you have that is unsolvable. But they're not going to just show up on your door one day, knock on your door and, you know, be there to basically to save you and solve all your problems. You got to seek it out. So do some online searches, right? Like whatever's wrong with your shoulder, Google it, exercises, stretches, things that you can do to build up strength, have that be part of your routine, but stop using it as an excuse. I mean, you know, that's what you should do. He asked what he should do. Besides everything else we just mentioned, stop using it as an excuse. Okay. Use it as an opportunity to move forward and learn and explore other aspects and disciplines and just areas of fitness that you haven't tapped into before. So you can just really unlock your full potential and just figure out what you're capable of.
Agreed.
So is that it?
That's it.
Cool, man. That was efficient. Less than an hour.
Yeah.
Here in the timer. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show today. And yeah, when's the election? The second or the third?
The third.
The third.
Coming up.
So, yeah. So what day is that?
Is it Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday?
So, guys, this obviously you guys will be hearing this on Monday. Get out there and vote. Yeah. Make sure you vote. You know, voting's important. Make preparations to, if you can vote early, try to do that, because I'm sure the polls are going to be an absolute shit show on the 3rd. But you know, if you're registered to vote, make sure you go out there and just play your part. It's your opportunity to actually have a say in how we move forward as a country.
Yeah, we talked about having control, right? So one thing you have control over, you can vote who you want to vote for.
Exactly. And that's something you absolutely should do. Exercise your right. It is a privilege to vote. It's a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege. And that's evidenced by the fact that, you know, if you commit a crime, certain felony crimes, your right to vote can be permanently taken away from you. You know, people who aren't citizens of this country, they don't have the right to vote. So voting is a privilege, and it's one that we need to view as such. So make sure you get out there and vote. Make any sort of arrangements that you can to vote early. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show today. We really appreciate you tuning in. All we ask is if you did get some value from the show, if this show or any other show that we've put out to this point has made an impact and helped you in any way, shape, or form, all we ask is that you share the podcast, right? Whether you do it on social media, tell a friend, and leave us a review. The reviews are basically the currency of the podcast game.
Yeah.
And that's how you guys can pay it forward to us, because we don't run ads on this. You guys might have noticed, all right? It costs me money to do this. It costs me money to get on here and basically give you guys information and, do my best to help you do a little better. And all I ask in return is that you spread the love, you share the knowledge, and help us reach and impact more people, because that's what we do. And, we can't do it without you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for sending in questions. I like the Q&A too. It connects us with you guys. So in the future, send us more and more.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
cool to have the face with the questions.
I did like the video
a little more
aspect of it,
personalized.
yeah.
So we appreciate that, guys, very much. We appreciate support, appreciate the love. Kick ass this week, and we'll talk to you soon.